The amount of money you can make from a trade job might absolutely shock you. We all know about the big ones: HVAC, plumbing, electricians. They're famous for paying well, but what if I told you that there were hidden trades out there that pay just as much, if not more, and almost nobody talks about them? Let's get into it. So in this video, we're uncovering 8 lesser known trade jobs that rake in incredible salaries, and more importantly, we'll show you exactly how you can follow their path to success. Here's the key: the process to financial freedom and control over your life comes down to 3 steps: learn, earn, and own. And own is a very important step. You start by learning the skills, then earning the great money, and finally owning your future, whether it's a business or a lifestyle that you've always dreamed of. Stick around because we're going to break it all down, of course. These high paying trade jobs, the 3 steps to freedom, and how you can start today. Let's dive in. Yeah. All right. So, first one's going to be project management. So, did you know that you can get a project management job without actually going to college or any previous experience? Course Careers. Yeah. Offers a free intro to construction project management course, which will teach you more about what it is, why it's a great career to pursue, and how to actually get a job as a project manager. Check out the link in my bio right now. Get over there and get the deal to get started today for free. For free. If you decide to purchase the full course using the link in my, you can currently get a $50 off discount. You can see tons of success stories and high reviews from their graduates going through their courses and getting hired. That they teach you all the skills you need, plus they help you with the entire interview process, even helping you perfect your resume and get it to where it needs to go. All right, let's get started. All right, number one, project manager. So this is definitely one that I've had a lot of experience with. It goes way back for me. I served in the Air Force, and a lot of what I did was actually go around and do a lot of site visits and a lot of hands-on construction and making sure that things were actually going the right way, getting together people, men, material, on time, basically, which is the gist of project management for construction, of course. Because, of course, there's also IT construction and manufacturing project management, and IT project management, as well as construction project management. And if you like to actually complete projects, especially if you're on the construction side of things, get out of the office and actually be out in the field, this can definitely be the job for you. This job pays between 75 and $120,000 according to experience. Of course, you start at 75 or so, maybe a little bit lower, maybe closer to 60, and you can definitely work your way up to 120 and definitely past 120 as you get to where you want to go in this career field. So number 2 is going to be underwater welder. So this one I have experience with from my time in the Air Force as well, not underwater, of course, just actually welding. And when I heard about the underwater component, I was kind of blown away because it already seems somewhat dangerous whenever you're actually doing the welding part of things, of course, above the ocean or above the surface on land. But whenever you combine that with all the scuba diving and everything like that, and sharks is kind of one of the things that I thought of. I was definitely interested, I guess. So performing welding tasks underwater are often in challenging environments. Of course, you're in the ocean, waves are crashing, which if you're underwater, I guess you can't really even tell what the waves are doing up on the surface, but having to decompress after. And for any of you guys that have watched Silo recently, you know about the bends, basically, where you get nitrogen bubbles stuck in your blood, and you have to hang out up underwater so that all of that stuff can kind of get out of your system. But That is underwater welding. So check it out. Number three, estimating. One I have a lot of experience in. So learning different software, which you don't necessarily have to. Some people do construction takeoffs with just, you know, doing it by pen and pencil. But for this one, learning a lot of softwares like construction estimating takeoff software, pricing software, Excel, which you should just generally know if you're in an office, Word, uh, and you're basically taking off the material needed for a certain project. So, how much material, how much is it going to cost? How many people is it going to cost to actually get this project completed? That's what you're trying to figure out as an estimator. And it ranges from a whole bunch of different scopes of work. Every project, really, of whatever it is, from a residential house to, a multi-million-dollar warehouse, needs someone to figure out how much it costs and what's going on there. So as far as salary, between 60 and 100 a year, I'm currently at 114 in estimating, but you can definitely go up higher. I've seen as high as 250 for a chief estimator. And so it would go normally estimator, senior estimator, chief estimator, and you know, taking construction plans, material, labor, and sending that off to the client to figure out if that's something that they can accept for the price for, whatever your construction job is. But that's the gist of that job. So, number four, non-destructive testing technician. So, this one inspects structures and materials for flaws without causing damage using techniques like X-ray and ultrasonic testing. So you're a inspector basically for different structures. You go around, make sure that everything is sound. And there's another component to this. So whenever you have armor plates, right? So the armor plates for our United States military, they get tested with non-destructive testing techniques because whenever they're sitting around, something happens to the ceramic over time to where they hit an expiration date and they could possibly have some sort of fracture in it. So you have to use certain techniques to view the armor plate to make sure that it isn't compromised. But of course, if you're having welds on a building, to make sure that the welds are actually the way that they need to be and there's not a whole bunch of air pockets in there, which can happen whenever you're welding, or a bunch of slag, which will make the weld spot not necessarily that strong as it needs to be. And anywhere in between, to where you don't want to, like, for instance, any walls that you want to look inside of. You don't necessarily want to destroy the walls of a house, but you want to look behind them to see what's going on. So that's what's going on with this job, and the salary is right around 60 to $100,000 a year. And I'm pretty sure with this one, it can go up because I'm pretty sure they use really specialized techniques. And there's definitely no telling where you can go if you go with this, on an entrepreneurial path. So the next one is number five is going to be fiber optic technician. So phone lines, internet, telecommunication, cable services. Everyone has had to probably call someone who deals with any one of those services. And nowadays, it's usually going to be a fiber optic technician that answers that call and does whatever placing. So, most people, Wi Fi would be usually where you probably know this from, but they would work in these areas and stay installing and maintaining the communication lines, making sure things are wired the way that they would need to be, making sure that things aren't breaking down, which I feel like would be a lot less than it used to be whenever it was mostly copper with these fiber optic cables, because I think the fiber optic cables can be a little bit more resilient than copper cables and any of the other sorts of cables that they use too, because I think long distance lines are uh, like, high high electricity lines are aluminum lines. They go, cross country whenever you see them going along the highway. But of course, residential, super fast fiber optic cable, and yeah, for actually going out and being out in the field, which normally jobs to where you're actually being an installer, like which is what this job would be, actually putting your hands on something, installing it into a building is going to pay slightly lower, and this pays around 50 to 85,000 a year. So number six, whew, we're getting there. Geothermal technician. Install, maintain geothermal heating and cooling systems for buildings. So for this one, going around making sure that heating systems and cooling systems for buildings are eco-friendly, I guess would be the best way to put that for this position is what they would do, retrofitting buildings, which is some part of what I've done in the past on the estimating side of things. But this would actually be going in and actually preparing and maintaining these buildings with these different heating and cooling systems. And this job is in a renewable category or a renewable energy category. So geothermal deals with the ground and the heat that comes from the earth and using that to, I would assume, heat mostly, but also maybe cool certain areas. And renewable energy demand is growing rapidly and is a skill set that is very unique and kind of hard to learn. So it's sort of a moat around this position. And the salary range for this position is 50 to 75,000 a year. And like I said, because you're actually going out and being a technician, putting your hands on different things, it's going to be slightly lower than it would be for, let's say, a more in office or leadership position in construction and in the trades, of course. So number seven on the list, refractory bricklayer. So they install heat resistant bricks in kilns, furnace, and industrial ovens, requires expertise in working with high temperature materials. So, this one, if you know anything about, well, I'll teach you. So, in the steel making process, you have these giant vats that you basically, at least a lot of the stuff that we do now is recycling, especially in America. And so you have these electrodes that go down and basically vaporize the steel and turn it into molten metal. And the inside of these giant vats need to be lined with bricks that can take that temperature without melting it's not called a gauntlet, but the crucible. That's what it's called. So the crucible, which is normally a metal outside exterior layer of these containers, the inside has to be brick to hold the molten metal, or the metal will just, of course, shoot through and fill up the place with a bunch of molten metal. And that's normally where most of these jobs will be located in like the steel making manufacturing industry because that's where the money is, of course, follow the money. And kilns, of course, or kilns, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, used for making pottery, dishes, all of that stuff. They need to be lined with these sorts of bricks to take the heat from the kiln. So, yep, very useful, very needed job throughout the United States, throughout the world, and it pays right around 50 to 85,000 a year. Definitely a very tough job on you. So, yeah, think twice about this one because you think about it, it's bricks. in any sort of bricklayer, regardless if it's for high temperature uses or non-high temperature uses. You're going to be using your body a lot. So you have to take care of your body and, of course, think about these things. So, last one on the list, number 8, is rail car technician. So, maintain, repair railway cars, include their mechanical system or including their mechanical systems, brakes, and couplings. This one has to be extremely tough, not just tough, but extremely dangerous as well, dealing with large moving trains, metal trains, thousands, tens of thousands of pounds. Demand remains high in freight and passenger transportation industry. So the demand for the job is definitely there. There is a lot of different railways across the United States of America, and again, of course, across the world. A very needed position. I, man, because if you think about it, like, just working on cars, if for any of you guys that have done that in the past, cars, trucks, that can be dangerous, dirty, of course. Um, you're going to get cut up, sliced up, messing in and out, trying to, reach into different compartments, especially if you work on enough cars and older cars. And man, I could not imagine the railway. But definitely an unknown job. Definitely, I'd say, as far as, me putting the assertion that these are more well-paying jobs, the median household income in the United States, I think, is right around 75,000. But at the same time, if you take into account a household is normally two people, there's probably some average there for a bunch of the single people. But half of 75 is, what is that? 35, 37, something like that, thousand per person. That seems somewhat low. The average has to be like maybe 40 or 50,000 per person in the United States. And as of 2025, I guess. But these are definitely trending above average for sure. And I'm pretty sure in each one of these, especially being experienced after you've hit maybe 10 or so years, you could probably be in all of these well over $100,000. So it's according to what you would like to get yourself into, what you think is interesting, what your prior skills maybe apply to, and going from there. And that's basically what I did. Like I said, I served in the Air Force and I took those skills, which I decided best matched with estimating and project management, and turned that into a career after the Air Force course versus many other ways that I could have been a welder possibly after I got out of the Air Force, or a carpenter or a bricklayer. A lot of these construction skills are what I had hands-on knowledge of in the Air Force, but yeah, became an estimator. So again, these are the 8 lesser known jobs in the trades. See you guys again. Again, check the link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe. Support this channel. We are growing over here. We're doing amazing things. So support. All right. Get you on the next one.